So with Boruto chapter 73 dropping, we got a very info heavy chapter with Team 7 being put on a very important mission that could possibly end the world if the mission does indeed fail. With Ada, Amato, and Damon heading into the Leaf Village, Shikamaru puts Team 7 under the task to watch over Ada once she arrives into Konoha. Due to Ada's lovability, nobody can really control and assert their dominance over her, such as the Leaf higher-ups such as Naruto or Shikamaru, for example. As we know, only Otsutsukis and blood relatives are the only people who can negate the enchantment that people go under once they're around her. The first half of this chapter is information that we already know and have mentioned in the previous chapters, such as Boruto becoming 100% Otsutsuki and the Leaf having no answer to Momoshiki manifesting inside of Boruto's body. On top of the fact that Kawaki has his Kama Seal back, attaining Ishiki's abilities, with Shikamaru confirming that nobody in the village can really stop him, this mission for Team 7 isn't just to have surveillance over Ada, with Boruto and Kawaki being in the same room as her, but also house arrest for Boruto and Kawaki since the village has no answer for either of the two if Kawaki or Momoshiki ever were to decide to go against the village. Shikamaru once again displays his brilliance and IQ as he was able to secretly monitor the two big bombs that Konoha has no control over on top of once Ada arrives in the village. They can watch over her as well. Now we do know the rest of Team 7 is going to be on standby watching Ada's moves, so it isn't just Boruto and Kawaki focused on this mission, as Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru have to make sure that nothing else arises between Boruto, Kawaki, and Ada. And the details of this mission makes up basically 90% of this chapter, with regurgitated information of Ada's abilities and Code getting his limiters removed being told to Team 7, since they didn't know prior, even though us as an audience knew about this going into the chapter. We also did get some important points that were mentioned, such as Code's powers. Since Code got his limiters removed, we do know that he did surpass Jigen in terms of power, but we also discover in this chapter that he's not stronger than Ishiki, and that Team 7 as a whole would be able to take on an unlimited Code and could possibly defeat him. This means that Code isn't the strongest in the verse, he isn't on the level of Ishiki or even a Baryon mode Naruto. I've always figured that from the get-go, but I'm glad that we got this addressed since we can actually truly gauge Code's power. Of course he did get stomped out by Damon, so we do know that he isn't on a level of Ishiki and beyond ever since he did get stomped out by Damon, but at the same time I'm glad that we got this information since it does give us some more information on how strong Boruto and Kawaki truly are. Boruto and Kawaki, if they were to fight Code, would obviously carry this fight due to their Otsutsuki powers, but this does say a lot in just how strong these two have become. In fact, Boruto and Kawaki might be way stronger than we thought they were. Since Shikamaru is saying this, they could probably beat up Jigen pretty easily, but that's just for you guys to decide in the comments. Now let's talk about this upcoming mission, as even though it seems like a pretty basic task, this could potentially turn into a very deadly situation, to the point where if any of Team 7 fuck up in this mission, hey man, it's wraps. Shikamaru did state in this chapter that Ada can literally take over the world, and yeah, I know it sounds pretty ridiculous, but that's just how powerful her enchantment ability really is. No jutsu or ability will work on her in combat. You can't kill her, you can't talk her out of it, and unless you're Otsutsuki or a blood relative, if you're remotely in proximity of Ada, you're just under her control. It's as simple as that. This mission really is going to come down to Kawaki in my personal opinion. We know that Ada has a crush on Kawaki since she wants to experience a normal romance, as stated by Sumire, and if Kawaki does one wrong thing to Ada, this can become really bad for the mission and possibly the fate of this world. After Kawaki found out that Ada has a crush on him, she admits that she's fatally in love, which could mean plenty of things based on your interpretation of her words. This could mean that if Kawaki gets hurt, Ada might snap, or if Kawaki rejects Ada's feelings, she could cast everyone under a spell and take control over the world. And even though the Leaf is playing their cards right by holding Boruto, Kawaki, and Ada under hostage, both Boruto and Kawaki have to play by Ada's rules. We haven't seen just how strong Ada truly is, and even though Boruto and Kawaki can resist her enchantment ability, rejecting her feelings and putting her down can cause some very negative consequences. This may mean that Kawaki might just have to force himself onto Ada just to protect the Leaf Village and Naruto, which could cause some very interesting things. I know the shippers are not gonna like this one at all, but I think we got a Kawaki x Ada ship coming onto our hands very soon. Personally, I don't give a fuck about ships like that, but the cards are there for it to happen, and unfortunately, it might just happen out of Kawaki's will. And that was the chapter overall. It was a very dialogue heavy and set up chapter to go into the rest of this arc. While this chapter was just a briefing on this mission, I think it's going to be a lot more dangerous than we think, and nowhere near as simple as it's going to be. We don't know when Code and the Ten Tails army is going to come, and while they can just teleport to the village almost instantaneously, I'm surprised that Code didn't get the jump on the village, as now is the perfect time to attack. However, maybe I'm just projecting myself a bit too early, as I still think it's going to happen regardless, and this might change if Ada arrives first in the village. She would be under house arrest regardless, so Code attacking the village is going to happen, just of the matter when, which is the one thing I'm looking forward to heading into Boruto chapter 74 and beyond. And for my personal feelings of this chapter was kind of meh. I found it pretty average. It wasn't a bad chapter by any means, but it wasn't anything too great, just set up for the next couple of chapters. And while I personally enjoy dialogue heavy chapters as it gives very crucial information for the rest of the story, a lot of the information is stuff that was already mentioned. In the first 8 pages of the chapter is Shikamaru reiterating what Boruto and Kawaki have become, which they basically know themselves. On top of Ada's abilities and Code getting his limiters removed was told to Team 7, that was repeated once again. And yes, while I do understand that everyone needs to understand the context, since some characters may not know or understand, instead of Shikamaru taking literally half of the chapter explaining what happened, Kishimoto could have easily just shown Team 7's reaction to Shikamaru giving this information to them by blurting out what was said to them, which could have saved a good 10 pages for additional information. And this isn't a new writing technique for Kishimoto at all. He's been doing this for decades when writing Naruto and helping direct Boruto's script. It would have saved the pacing of this chapter as we could have gotten a lot more out of this chapter. We've seen this multiple times in Boruto as well. For example, after the spar between Boruto and Naruto at the end of chapter 16, we did see Boruto realize that Naruto was using a ninja tool, and instead of wasting a couple pages on Naruto literally explaining that he was using a ninja tool on Boruto, we just found out that Boruto realized this by blurting out this information. That saves a lot of time, a lot of pages, and saves the pacing of that chapter. That could have happened here. That's the one thing that kind of like threw me off when reading this chapter. On top of the endless fluff panels of Team 7's faces showing almost no emotion with little to no dialogue, I really feel like Ikimoto and Kishimoto were really stretching this chapter out by adding these extra panels that kind of have no value. This was easily my biggest problem when reading the chapter live on stream, as I was basically able to glide through the chapter very quickly instead of taking in what was being said, since a lot of panels shown were reactionary images that really held no value. Also with Boruto, they once again dumbed him down. The writers always seem to do this with Boruto's character in the manga, as when Shikamaru mentioned the word cohabitate, Boruto was the only person who didn't understand the word, despite him being a literal prodigy and genius growing up. I understand it was a moment for the audience to understand what the word meant, but it's just a waste of panels and it makes Boruto look dumb. If you didn't know what that word meant, just Google it, bro. It's not that hard. And overall, this was an okay chapter for me. While I did enjoy the setup for the upcoming mission for Team 7, there was a lot of fluff in this chapter which led to a poorly paced chapter. So let me know what you think about this chapter in the comment section below. Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Do you think it was okay? What is the one thing that you're looking forward to the most when going into Boruto chapter 74 and beyond? How excited are you for Code to attack the village with the Ten Tails army? And how do you feel this house arrest, aka cohabitation, between Ada, Boruto, and Kawaki is going to go? And also, let's not forget about Damon. I did forget to mention him in this chapter review for some reason. Shikamaru did not mention Damon when talking about Ada. We know that Shikamaru does have information and does know about Damon. However, I'm surprised that he didn't mention in this upcoming mission, because I definitely think that Damon is going to be alongside with Ada. I don't think it's just going to be them three. I think Damon's also going to be in that room, which is going to cause a lot of trouble, especially if Kawaki rejects Ada's feelings, because if Damon's in that room, I don't think he's going to be happy with it. And to be honest with you, I don't think Kawaki can take on Damon by himself. Low-key, I think Damon destroys Kawaki. If Damon's in that room and Kawaki rejects Ada's feelings, hey man, it's going to be raps. And whatever she does, Damon will always follow her no matter what, because that's her sister, of course. So I am looking forward to this upcoming mission, but what do you think will happen first? Do you think Code will attack first, or do you think Ada will get to the village first? She does have a couple days on her just to get there. Meanwhile, Code can instantly teleport, but do you think Code will instantly teleport? I thought he was going to in this chapter, but it seems like we're kind of slowing the pace down, which is fine by all means. We just have to wait and see how the rest of this arc will set up, because it does seem like Kishimoto is going 100% for a couple chapters and then completely slowing it down for the next couple. So we're gonna have to see what happens first. And man, I just want to say I'm pretty excited for the next couple of chapters, even though this chapter was kind of meh. You know, I'm still looking forward to this upcoming mission. So let me know what you think about all that in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.